The board's agenda is critical to the board performing its functions. And all boards are operating in increasingly complex compliance and strategic environments, which means time's critical. So having an agenda that focuses board's time on the right issues is increasingly important. A challenge that I throw to boards is, if you started again, how would you build your agenda? So if you're taking up the challenge and you've got a blank piece of paper, here's some things you might like to think about as you rebuild your board's agenda. The first item is in-camera sessions, and I've spoken previously on these. But the purpose of an in-camera session, if you choose to have one, is different whether you have it at the beginning or the end. At the beginning, it's about setting the meeting up and working out where you're going to focus in the meeting. At the end, it's more about a meeting debrief. The second bucket of items is all the opening items. And there's a piece here I don't see many boards do, except for in some faith-based organisations. And it's a reflective piece. What are we here for? What do we need to achieve? Let's focus all of our energy on the board's agenda. Now, for corporate boards, this can be a place where the chair sets out the key things that need to be achieved in the meeting. And also, I think it's a good place to say phones go away, people go offline, and all focus is now on the board's meeting agenda. Also in the opening items are things like conflicts of interest, and of course these should be executives' conflicts, not just the directors. Minutes of the last meeting. Those should be pretty perfunctory because those should have been circulated and all comments dealt with prior to the meeting. And also action items. And I think it can be useful for management to put a narrative response to action items that again will save time in the board meeting. The next bucket of items is around strategy. It might be a progress report on achieving the strategic plan, but it also might be a scan of the strategic environment and what's happening. Now, some of these sessions I hear can become a little bit unwieldy and can take up time without having an outcome. So a good question to ask is, what's happened in the external environment? How is it relevant to us? And what should we do about it, if anything? Next are our items for decision, and these obviously should be some of the key focus areas for the board during the meeting. They should be informed by really well-written board briefing papers on which the board's given management good guidance as to its needs. And I've also spoken separately on this topic. Next is matters for discussion and information. Now, there's a couple of different approaches that boards take here. They're both quite similar. The first one is using a consent agenda, which means matters are all taken unless someone objects or wants a particular item opened, and otherwise they're all taken as read and there's a resolution to that effect. The other approach is starring items. So again, all items are taken as read and noted by the board, unless a director asks for an item to be starred, in which case it will be open for discussion. And finally, some boards like to have an end of meeting evaluation. There's different ways to do that. But I do think there is value in a reflective piece where at the end of a meeting a board asks, what did we do well in this meeting? What didn't we do so well? And how would we do things differently and better next time?